Okay, I'm going to do one more video today because there's a lot going on. Beautiful soul family, welcome back. Let me go ahead and get my glasses. Water, because we're gonna get down to it. I was just looking at a video and I'm gonna put it in the description box, and this is very important. I'm definitely going to put this in the description box, and it is in reference to a doctor talking about how there are different patients who are how they can heal from COVID. Now, I have what the Divine Spirit has showed me about COVID. And I'm not going to go through that because Divine Spirit showed me that. I have spoken on it already. And it is proof. It's proof. But there are people who are not ready to see the truth about this COVID. And so I meet you where you stand. So what's so interesting is that the Divine Spirit is telling me, meet them where they choose to take their stance. Okay? So what's so interesting is that, let me bring it back up on my phone. I truly think it's very interesting. Am I able to see it? Yes. So it says, help overcome pneumonia from COVID. In 2020, Divine Spirit had gave me a dream. Okay? And it was dealing with the lungs. Now this is when I had my channel of Infinite Miracles Beneath the Surface, okay? And it was really about the dream, well, I don't want to say it over again, but the dream was talking about that we need to put more ginger in our food, in our drinks, drink teas of ginger because it's to clear up the lungs, okay? It's to clear up the lungs. And we have to pay attention to our dreams. Beautiful brothers and sisters, we got to pay attention to our dreams, okay? Because our dreams, our visions are not going to lie. Nowadays, yesterday, I saw a beautiful sister and she was talking about how she had a dream. I'm going to put that in the description box too. She had a dream about the vents, and it's got to get out there. You know, this information has to get out there because it says my people will dream dreams, have visions. And it also helps you to understand. Now you have to bring it into discernment, okay? Because there are certain dreams where you got to say, okay, is this from Divine Spirit or is this from some evil, wicked person astral projecting or whatever? But anyways, so it's so interesting because I was reading Proverbs 31, and the next scripture over is Ecclesiastes. And Ecclesiastes, and I have two wonderful Bibles here, but Ecclesiastes says the preacher. Now, I don't believe I'm called to be a preacher, right? But one thing that a preacher does, let me leave here because we're going to be going over 4 scriptures. One thing that a preacher does, one thing that we all do, whether you're a preacher or not, is bring forth truth and motivation, insight on how to live a better life. We all are going to dream dreams, but the thing about it is, who chooses? It's about your choice. Who chooses to pay attention to those dreams? Who chooses to pay attention to the wisdom that is given to us from the Bible and from people who are having these dreams are telling you, listen, there are things that are about to take place. And the attack is our lungs. How, the Vice Spirit was telling me, how can we overcome these different things? What are different things that we can implement in our livelihood? Going out there, taking a walk without the mask on. Because the Vice Spirit was, almost said preaching, but the Vice Spirit was speaking to me about going out into nature. When they're telling you to stay in, they're telling you to be dependent on the Freon. Instead of dependent on the air that is beautifully and wonderfully made for us. It is not just oxygen. There are other things within the air. Oxygen is definitely something that we need. But we are to come from the indoors. Because I did a video about how we are so codependent on a lot of things that are just mimicking the world, and mimicking the earth, and we just need to go out into the earth and breathe the natural resources, take of the beauty of the sun. Yes, when it's at its highest point, it could be very intense, but early in the morning. Now, mind you, some schedules are different and you're not able to do it. But try to do as much as you possibly can. As brought out in Matthew. Stay awake and pray. Now this is why I'm talking about this, because I may be hopping around different areas, but it's pulling in different pieces. What's so interesting is that the doctor was saying that many of his patients were dealing with pneumonia, and that when you're breathing in the COVID, quote unquote, attacks at the lower part of the lungs, or something to that point. Okay, I'm gonna put the video in the description box. And it was saying, and not it, but the doctor was saying that when you are able to breathe in more oxygen, it definitely helps you out a lot. There's a struggle in getting oxygen into the body. Now, what's so interesting, the Divine Spirit, is, and just look at these different videos, because the Divine Spirit really is showing me. I'm really bringing forth a message, and some things may come across like a lesson, like as if you were in school, like in terms of understanding how a reptile works. What are the characteristics of a reptile? How is the functionings of its body? Because I've always said to myself, I've always wondered, why would someone attack the air? Do they breathe the air that we are breathing? Does the air that we breathe, how it functions and allows us to be strong and vibrant, is it to the same effect in their bodies? And when you're understanding a reptile, it's not just the mind frame, it's so much more. When you understand a reptile, then you understand why there are certain attacks upon the air. Why there are certain attacks upon food. So on and so forth. It's just a way of getting to know and understand even deeper of what's going on and why does it go on. Okay? And the importance of what makes us beautiful and what we need to continue forth. We need oxygen. There are reptiles that they are not able to take in oxygen. And because they're not able to take in oxygen, there are certain aspects of them that are not able to grow. And so we have to understand about ourselves that, and you may think this is far-fetched, but it is what it is. Okay, I meet you where you stand. The thing about it is that beautiful soul family, as I've stated before, when you have the mask on, nowadays, you may think it's funny, but you have to wear the mask just to protect yourself from those who are vaccinated. I said it, yes. Sometimes you have to protect yourself with a mask from those who are vaccinated. And it's sad. But you take that mask off, you get out in the air, and you breathe. You bring forth the exchange of oxygens where you're inhaling and you're releasing toxicity. It's all about release. It's not just about the lungs. It's about our bodies. We go into healing. In order to go into healing, we must release. We must release the past in order to be present, to move forward. And there are people who are not able to do that on any plane. But interesting enough, beautiful soul family, as I was looking at this, he was showing a position of how you can get more oxygen into your body. Now, looking at the position, it looked like he was praying. But he calls it the proning position. And it brought me to David. And it brings me to the different people who go into the position of prayer. You know, maybe your parents showed you this, maybe they didn't. I'm not quite sure. I know my mom did. She showed me the position of praying where you get on your knees and you lower yourself and you're humbling yourself as you're in prayer. Now, there are many different ways of praying. You can stand and walk and be in prayer there. You can lay on your back and be in prayer. You can sit in a chair and be in prayer. But this is also about humbling thyself. Getting on your knees. And bringing your face to the ground. David did this. So, you know, David, he was going through some things. He did not have integrity with some things as well. And so Bathsheba, she was pregnant. And how things went about were not good at all. And so he did not want the child to die. So he humbled himself. He didn't eat, he didn't drink. He really even lied on his face, hands out, lied on his face, on his stomach. Brought himself down to the ground. A king. You see, because the thing about it, beautiful soul family, is that when you do things that are so grievous, that is your actual positioning. You're bringing yourself down to the ground. But it's from the positioning of the ground, humbling yourself and accepting accountability. And praying. What's so interesting is that there are people who are going through pneumonia. And, okay, so Divine Spirit is telling me to say about the carbon dioxide. When you are not releasing these toxicities and there's a high flux of carbon dioxide, it is likened to carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is when it's synthetically coming from the vehicles that we breathe in. That brings about different stresses. Let's go ahead and give me a minute. Now, please forgive me. I'm very excited. This is like 5:29 in the morning. But, So, anyways, we have carbon monoxide and we have carbon dioxide. How the Divine Spirit was showing me is that carbon dioxide is something that we give off, all right? And carbon monoxide is something that is burned through fuels or poison even at low doses. Now, carbon dioxide is something that we give off, but it's to be exhaled, because carbon dioxide is that one of the ingredients that is needed as we're going out into the earth, going out into nature, okay? As we are breathing, exhaling carbon dioxide, we are providing food for the trees, because this thing called photosynthesis. Now, trees, they need food too. So they have the sunlight along with our carbon dioxide and other aspects. And guess what? That's how they get their food. When the trees get their food, as we are aiding in releasing the carbon dioxide, as we are in nature, we are breathing in the oxygen, which is what they are able to release as they get the food. See, it's a beautiful flow, okay? Because the trees complement us and we complement the trees in so many different ways. If you look at your lungs are likened to a tree. I could do another video on that. That's not going to be today. The thing about it, beautiful soul family, is that as we are going out into nature and breathing the air, breathing the oxygen, we are able, and we have no mask on our face, we are able to go ahead and bring forth that continuous flow, okay, where we're inhaling healing and releasing toxicity. It's not about inhaling toxicity, releasing and inhaling toxicity, and then going inside and inhaling and exhaling, or inhaling the freon, the air condition. Now, yes, especially here in Irie, it is very hot. And most buildings, not all of them, but most buildings have centralized air. And we have been programmed to rely on them. Because why? Comfort. Comfort. Now the thing about it is that we are not breathing oxygen. We are breathing freon. Now, Divine Spirit was showing me some time ago, and I did a video on this, and it was in reference to understanding that the world we live in is a mimic. It mimics the earth. So there is no one that could ever be homeless. You see what I'm saying? In the earth, there is no one that can ever be homeless, because the earth, when you really think about it, the earth, there's no one that should be owning land per se, because the earth is our home. So there should be no struggles for land, but there should be respect, because there's more than enough. There's more than enough, because Divine Spirit does not create based on lack. Okay? So there's more than enough. And so there's a greed of control. That's another video. The point is, beautiful soul family, is that when we are able to get out into the earth and actually breathe the air that is beautifully and wonderfully made, you can look into the ingredients of air and understand that it is beautifully and wonderfully made for us, so that we can continue to live, so that we can continue to go through the flows of inhaling oxygen, which repairs our body, repairs ourselves. Let me make sure I'm recording. And I am. So we can continue living, so we can continue to live our life with purpose. Okay? And there are certain things that come against that. We have chemtrails, okay? And you can look online, and even throughout this COVID, this 2020, there was still a lot of chemtrails still going on, okay? And so the people that do this, they don't breathe the same way we breathe, okay? And this is not just in terms of physical functionings. This is mental, how they think. You know, when a person is always in a state of anger and fear and wanting to control, a person that has, let's say you go into a person's home and they have put cameras everywhere in their home, in their bathroom, in their kitchen, you know, they put cameras everywhere. What would you think about that person? Exactly. You would think that this person does not trust anybody around them. They want to know what's going on with everything, correct? And so when we look at society today, that is exactly what we see. We see a society that is run by certain people who are not able to truly breathe. One, they don't have peace of mind, because a person that has peace of mind will not put cameras all over the place. So we're dealing with people that are greedy for power and control, but their roots are of evil and of hatred. Their roots is very reptilian-like, because they just cannot mature and grow in certain ways as humanity does. You see, the thing about it is that it's one thing for a hater to come against another person because they haven't healed. But it's a whole different ball game when someone who is not really has the same characteristics. Now, as a reptile, they said that some characteristics are the same, but there are many things that are different. And so we have to understand that. The more we can understand that, whether it's a reptilian mind or the characteristics and the functions of how a reptile is, it helps us to understand what we're dealing with, okay? So anyways, the doctor was stating that this position is how you can bring forth oxygen into the body. Now, when dealing with carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide, there are different symptoms that the body goes through, okay? And this is a poisoning, okay? So the different symptoms are headaches, stomach pains, nausea, drowsiness, erratic behavior, dizziness, visual problems, chest pains, tiredness, vomiting, loss of consciousness. What's so interesting is that these are some of the symptoms of this thing going around. But these are the symptoms of when there's a high influx of carbon dioxide. This eradicated type of feeling. You see, when a person cannot rise with you, they will try to bring you down. A person, you know, there are people with the mentality that are like, well, in order for me to bring this person back into my life, I need to bring down their energy so that way we can complement each other energetic wise. If this person continues to rise, I will not be able to grow with them. So let me go ahead and bring forth blockages in their life so that they can't rise, which will make them feel sad, just like me. And to a degree, maybe we can get through this together. Some people have that mentality, and it's truly narcissistic. It's very it's very toxic, okay? Just keeping it like that. But when we look at this, when we look at these symptoms, when you're not bringing in oxygen into your body, you're not able to think well. You won't, when you're able to have oxygen, you're able to breathe, you're able to respond, you're able to relax. That means you won't have stomach pains. You won't have nausea and drowsiness. Okay? You won't be oversleeping, because you can go to sleep and then wake up and still feel tired. Has that ever happened to you? It's not only that people are robbing you from your energy, but it's about you not being able to sleep because there's so much burdens upon you with that high influx of carbon dioxide. Then you go out there and then there's more carbon monoxide. And so it's just so much going on with the lungs, with your breathing. The lady was bringing out that it's an attack against your lungs, so that you won't breathe, so that you don't have the strength to, because the air that we breathe, it restores us, it rejuvenates us, it allows us to express. The whole point of having a mask on is that you keep quiet, you stay muzzled. Okay? But not only that, is that it's blocking you from getting the oxygen that your body needs. Anyways, so as the doctor was doing this position, he was talking about how it's about bringing forth oxygen into your body. And as I mentioned, it sincerely looked like the prayer position. How many of us are not going into prayer? There's, especially when there are certain things going on into our life, and we get down on our knees and we humble ourselves and we go before Divine Spirit. This is the true healing that we need. And it's nothing that the world can provide, as brought out earlier. The world that brings forth pains cannot bring forth a solution. That type of mind frame is sociopathic. So here we have Philippians 4:6, Mark 11:24, John 15:7, and 1 Thessalonians 5:17. Okay, these scriptures are about prayer. Okay, so let's get into it, okay? Let's go into Philippians. And I am not ashamed. Let's go into Philippians 4:6. Let me find it first. Oh, Lord have mercy. Yes, I was on the right track. Let's go into Philippians. There we go. Philippians 4. Ooh, wonderful. Thank you, Divine. Philippians 4, chapter 6 reads, "Don't worry about anything, but in everything, through prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God." And 7 says, "And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus." So that's Philippians 6 and 7. Now, what I love about this beautiful soul family is that it says, don't worry. As we're looking at these different things going on around us, what's the first thing that we do? What's the first thing that is like, it's an undertone to the fear that is surrounding us? It's worry. It's panic. It's that pan type energy. They want people to panic. They want people to worry. Keep the mask on your face. And what's going on? You're not taking in oxygen. What you're breathing is carbon dioxide. So we are made to be in balance. Our body is wonderfully and beautifully made to where it maintains balance through homeostasis. But the thing about it, beautiful soul family, is when we're not helping our bodies, we're working against our bodies by working with the world and what the world is telling us to do. If the world is telling us to go against ourselves, we need oxygen. We need to go outside. We need to breathe. We need to bring forth the exchange of gases. We need to know how to release. Understanding that beauty of a cycle is about, if you don't release, you will stay stagnant in a cycle where we're meant to move forward. Change is about constantly moving forward. Here in this page it says, all we need. Christ strengthened in Paul produces something for richer than achievement. It produces contentment. It says, Christ's strength in me fuels something more significant than my best efforts. It fuels my faith. Sadly enough, there are people who are saying, you know what? They're going against God. God, Divine Spirit, Almighty, gives you immunity. And here it says the early symptoms. See, we weren't going through these symptoms before because we were taking in more oxygen. People were going outside. But as of last year, a lot of people were indoors. So some were probably still wearing a mask, some probably weren't. And then they're breathing in bleaching, all these chemicals. Look, beautiful soul family, all we need is air. Last year I was still making sure that I'm recording. I gotta do this from time to time. Last year I was walking. I was jogging without a mask on because I went out with faith. It was just me communing in nature, breathing, releasing. And that's what we all need to do, beautiful soul family. And I admit, I need to get out there and do that more. We got to do this more. We need to be more unified. You see, what's so interesting is that the Divine Spirit is telling me where, divide is to conquer. Okay? And those that are of the reptilian mind frame, right? They will use brothers and sisters to come against one another, to divide them, because that's what hate does. And when they come together, oh, let it be of love that has conditions, and let it be of lust, but let's not let it be of true love. Let's bring forth blockages and divide people. So, beautiful soul family, since that's taking place, we all individually must take this time to go within. Because there are certain things that we need to bring forth for clearing. We must also rebuild that bridge to Divine Spirit, bring forth that connection back through prayer. And as we're doing this, Divine Spirit, what's so interesting is that the Bible talks about prayer and fasting. But Jesus also talks about staying awake and praying. Staying awake to a world that would do anything to keep you asleep. Divine Spirit is telling me to be at rest. That's a point of death. You see, in an unfair fight, the wicked one, you've seen it in movies, they will cheat so that they can win. And the reason why they do that is because they're not even strong enough to truly fight. So they go to different tactics in order to ensure, quote unquote, ensure their win. And so Divine Spirit is saying, I need you to not only fast and pray, but I need you to be awake. I need you to stay awake. As we are awake, guess what we're doing? We're breathing. I don't need you to be at rest. I need you to be awake. I don't need you to close your eyes to these times. I need you to see them for its true, what's really going on. I need you to be awake, and I need you to be in prayer. And as we are being awakened to the things that are going on today, and we're going into prayer, in that position, we are able to take in the oxygen that we need. We are able to take in the healing that we need, and we are able to understand and be back into alignment with divine spirit. Because when we go according to the world, it takes us off our path, and it takes us out of alignment. When we're out of alignment, that is us. That's our lungs not being in alignment. That is not us. That's, when we're not in the right alignment, then we're not breathing correctly. We're not thinking correctly. There's so many things that are thrown off course. And it's not going to be about relying on the world. We must go within. We must be in prayer. Today I'm going to go out there and get some more ginger teas. Also, Divine Spirit is telling me peppermint. Go ahead and get your ventilators. Put peppermint in there. Put rosemary in there. Do whatever you can to make sure that you are breathing well. Get out there. If you got to get out there, I know, we're all working and whatnot. But the thing about it is that we need to go out in the earth and breathe the air. You see, this is why they have these chemtrails, so that even those who are going outside, they're not going to get the quote-unquote proper amount of oxygen without also inhaling carbon monoxide or any other fumes or poisons put into our air. But the thing about the air, beautiful soul family, is that it is vast. So we don't have to worry. Here it says, do not worry. 6 says, let me get back to it. Don't worry about anything, but in everything, through prayer and petition,